All right, guys. I realized that the very first recipe I shared this year on this whole video stuff that I'm doing was my biscuit recipe, and it was only in written form. So I decided today I want to give you a video of it and just show you how simple it is. And I get it. A lot of people don't know how to make biscuits, to just prefer buying it. But with this recipe, not only can you make your own, you can modify it the way you want, and it doesn't take long. It's literally one of those go-to things that I make on during the week when we just kind of like in a rush and we need something to eat. So there's literally what I'll show you all the ingredients you need. You need first you need flour. Um, this is my flour container. Um, we're using the perfected form, which is lactose-free milk. You need milk. You need rice wine vinegar. Um, this is I've kind of talked about it already, but this is the best one when it comes to making a fluffy biscuit. Salt, cold butter, and one egg. And then the last thing you need is baking powder. And so we'll have all these things together, and when we get ready to start putting this dish to get this recipe together, you'll see just how simple it is. Um, Aside from that, utensils you'll need a cookie cutter. Um, you'll need a bowl. You'll need a um, shredder. Um, be careful, Ninja Turtles. You need a fork, a spatula, a measuring cup, and finally a rolling pin. Aside from those things, I really don't need anything else. You won't need anything else, with the exception of a baking sheet that you'll use. And I'm using mine from my air fryer because I do this recipe in the air fryer. It's an air fryer oven, and it comes out really quickly, comes out perfect. And finally, if you want no hassle cleanup, I would recommend wax paper. And so if you don't want to get your countertop dirty, you don't want to have to try to peel up all the dough, put your layer of wax paper down, and then you really won't have to worry about too much of anything. So I'm gonna go ahead and start making this dish. I'm gonna go look for the baking powder. I forgot to bring it out. And yeah, we'll see you guys in a few seconds. All right, I got our baking powder. Para los que están haciendo esta receta en español, es polvo de hornear, leche sin lactosa, harina, eh, vinagre de arroz, que funciona muy bien, sal, huevo y mantequilla. Yo estoy usando Gloria, tiene un poco de sal y bueno, por el sabor me gustó más que otras marcas, pero tú puedes coger la marca que deseas. Um, anyway, we're gonna go ahead and start putting everything together. So the first thing you're gonna need is 3 cups of flour. Um, and we're just gonna take these 3 cups and put them in our big bowl. Son 3 tazas. Y vamos a reservar una cuarta de taza para para el folding, ¿no? So we're gonna take 1/4 of a cup for the folding part of this dish. Cuando ya tiene todo esto en tu tazón or in tu bowl, when you got this in your bowl, you're gonna add your baking soda, I mean your baking powder. Vamos a poner 2 cucharas de baking powder, 2 cucharas. So 2 tablespoons of baking powder. This is This packet comes about 3, so and I know I've used 1 already, so just put the rest of this in. De ahí vamos a mezclarlo. We're just gonna mix it up. A simple fold. And finally, we're gonna move on to our wet ingredients, which is about 2 cups of milk, One. Vamos a poner 1.5 y luego vamos a aumentar. We're going to put just 1.5 and then put more if we need it. Our 1 egg. Ponemos el huevo. And then a little bit of the salt. Y un poquito de sal. And at this point, we can add our rice wine vinegar. A este punto vamos a agregar el arroz, vinagre de arroz. Más o menos 2 cucharas grandes, about 2 tablespoons. And we're going to use our fork to go ahead and mix this up. We'll just leave this over here. Napkin. All right, so we can move on to the next thing, which is technically the final real part of this whole process, and that's shred our cold butter. Y lo que vamos a hacer ahora es rallar esa mantequilla fría. We're going to put about 100 grams. Vamos a poner casi 100 gramos. Podemos poner más. We can always add a little bit more if we want our biscuits buttery. Y si quieren poner otros sabores a este pan, tú puedes poner queso, ¿cómo se llama? Mozzarella rallada o orégano, cosas así. And if you want to change the flavor of this bread, you can always put, um, mozzarella cheese, oregano, Italian seasonings, whatever you feel like you want to add to it. And the last thing we're going to do is just go ahead and just get as much flour on the butter and between the butter so it stays separated. Vamos a mantenerlo separada la mantequilla con esta harina. Let's slowly break it up. Vamos a deshacerlo en pedazos. El más frío, mejor. The colder the butter is, it's better. I took this out a few minutes ago and it's already kind of warmed up. Cuando ya está bien mezclado, so when it's really mixed, we can get ready to add in our liquids and preheat our oven. Y de ahí podemos agregar los líquidos acá y calentar el horno. Y calentamos a 350 grados. We're going to heat up our oven to 350 degrees. Y solo envolvemos. All we're going to do is just fold this over. Anyway, I'm going to go and heat up the oven. In this recipe, I want you to know that it's one of those recipes that it's been a trial and error. I've spent the last 16 years trying to figure out how to make a good biscuit recipe. Esa receta voy haciendo o intentando de hacerlo por 15 años. We started trying to make biscuits in Denver, which is a high altitude location, which makes it a lot difficult to get anything to bake or cook. And so once we got down here to the coast in Peru, the recipe started to work a little bit better. And I have to thank my friend Jennifer Reeves for giving me some of her tips while they were living in Cusco to help me figure out how my recipe should go. Entonces estuve diciendo que esa receta estamos haciendo ya hace 15 años, comenzando en Denver, donde vivimos antes de venir a Perú. Y en aquellos tiempos no sabía cómo hacer recetas en la altitud y por lo tanto pasó muchas pruebas intentando hasta que ya eh, mi amiga Jennifer Reeves, que era misionera con su esposo Gary en Cusco, me, me pasó sus datos, ¿no? Cosas que ella hacía allá, de los cuales me ayudó bastante en hacer mi receta acá en Lima. Entonces, pasamos por muchas recetas hasta que ya encontré esta. Realmente es una creación mía al final. This one is one of my creations that came about over the I say, the last 6 years. And it's only been perfected every other week. And so, yeah. Este se puede descansar un poquito y vamos a calentar el horno. Estoy acá de nuevo. Tenemos ya la masa descansando. Descansado más o menos 2 minutos. We've let this rest for about 2 minutes, which is going to help build up the fermentation. You know, we're using vinegar, we're using milk, we're using egg, but it's also going to let the dough rise. It's about preparar la masa a crecer cuando ya ponemos al horno. El otro detalle es que tú puedes hacerlo mucho más antes, por ejemplo, en la noche anterior, cortarlos y congelarlos. Y de ahí cuando ya tienen visita, pueden ponerlo al horno. So I was saying you can also make this dough earlier, say a day before. You can go ahead and roll it out, cut it, and freeze it. And if you want to use it for whenever you have a special guest over or, just quick meals, it definitely works. And this will render about 9 to 13, depending on how thick you want them or how small your cookie cutter is. This, I'm not really sure how much it's probably about, I would say about 4 inches in diameter. But yeah. The other thing is that I noticed, I said Celsius and it's Fahrenheit. Dijo que era en Celsius, pero es Fahrenheit. Entonces, cuando están preparando el horno. Yo lo tengo a 250 en la mía porque es frío de aire. And so I have my air fryer on 250. But once you put this bread in, it's gonna heat up much hotter compared to a convection oven or a regular oven where you're getting just basically the minimum 350. So we're gonna go ahead and start rolling out this dough. And like I said, we have a fourth of maybe less than a fourth of a cup of flour. And we're just gonna take this flour, we're gonna spread it out. I have a wax paper here. We'll spread a little bit out. And in the section where we put that, we're gonna just put our dough. This dough is a sticky-ish dough. It's not super sticky. It's one that you can handle fairly well. Esta masa es un poco pegajoso, pero no tanto que no vas a poder manejarlo. Vamos a poder ponerlo en la forma que deseamos. So, lo que me gusta hacer es poner un poco de harina en mis manos. I like to put a little flour on my hands, and that way it doesn't stick to my hands. And all we're going to do is we're going to fold it a couple of times. So I'm going to roll it out, fold it, put a little more flour. If you ever feel it getting sticky, you're going to put a little more flour. Doblamos un poco más. Fold it again. Push it down. Fold it. Presionamos. Doblamos. Y unos 3 vueltas o 4 vueltas es más que suficiente. Just 3 or 4 folds is more than enough. Lo que estamos haciendo es estamos atrapando el aire adentro. And all we're just doing is trying to get some air to stay inside. Y de ahí vamos a plancharlo. We're gonna just roll it all out. Al tamaño deseado. We're just gonna roll it out to the desired size. I have a fairly thick rolling pin, and what I like is for my dough to be almost half the height of it. Y como tengo un rolling pin medio grueso, el tamaño preferido mía es de que el pin es, bueno, la masa es casi mitad de ese pin. Entonces lo ponemos al borde. Si todo está bien, podemos ya comenzar primero a levantarlo para asegurar que no se pega. ¿Ves? Puede pegarse al bajo. Porque vamos a cortarlo ahora. Pero lo que no queremos es que se quiera ahí en el papel. So when we get ready to cut this, what we don't want is for this to be stuck to it. So we're just going to add a little bit of flour. We're just going to put it back down. There you go. We'll just start in the corners. Y levantamos la masa extra. We just take up the rest of this dough. De ahí lo ponemos en a cookie sheet or a baking sheet. Yeah, and that's all we have to do. So we're just gonna reincorporate this dough and just squeeze it together. Vamos a utilizar toda la masa, aplastándolo todo junto. There's a little more flour to keep our hands dry. No mucho, porque si echas mucho, la masa va a cambiar su textura y no va a ser como tú deseas. And if we add too much flour to our hands or to the area where we're working, the dough can become more dry and stiff, and we don't want that. So we're just gonna add just a little bit, make sure it's still sticky. Igual. Vamos a aplastar, doblar, aplastar, y doblar. We're just gonna fold, roll it out, fold, and roll it out. Y a este nivel ya estamos buscando 3 panes más. Entonces hacemos de largo nomás. So at this stage, we're just looking for 3 more breads or biscuits. So we're just gonna try to do it long way and not so much a square, more of a rectangle. All right. We'll get 1, and this one seems a little too tall. 2. There you go. And this last one doesn't have to be perfect. It's in our home we used to call it the hoe cake when we were kids. Y la última no tiene que ser perfecto. Cuando éramos niños, en Estados Unidos, llamábamos ese parte, ese pan que era imperfecta, la masa completa o the whole cake. Entonces, es una masa que no es igual que los demás, pero normalmente es más grande y a veces es la preferida. So this one doesn't have to be exactly perfect like the rest of them, but usually this is the one that has more bread and it's the preferred piece because you're gonna get filled. Anyway, so there we go. We have our biscuits. We're gonna go ahead and stick these in the oven, and in about 15 to 20 minutes, this should be done, crispy brown on the outside. soft and fluffy in the inside. And yeah, see you in a few minutes. All right, so we're back, and I just wanted to show you what you can eat with this. If you're in the States and you've never had biscuits, that's okay. You're probably from the north. That's fine. But if you're in Peru and you've never had biscuits, I wouldn't expect you to. The only place that's ever made it is Popeyes, and they did it for only like a year when they started up. Si eres de Perú, yo sé que tal vez no has comido eso. Sin embargo, solo en un sitio, Popeyes, que tenía biscuits en el primer año que comenzaron a vender acá en el Perú. Y si eres de los Estados Unidos y nunca has comido, seguramente eres del norte, porque no es una comida de ahí, es más del sur. Y por lo tanto voy a enseñarles lo que pueden comer con esto y voy a darles una receta mía para que ustedes puedan disfrutar este pan hora en la mañana o el día que están haciendo. Primeramente, se puede rellenarlo con jamón. Obviamente, esos son cortados en láminas. Lo vas a doblar, se puede freír. You can either cut it, fold it, put in ham in it. In the States, in the South, we have Hardee's or Charles Jr. or Carl's Jr. They usually have this monster sandwich, which is sausage, turkey, and a whole bunch of stuff. And this used to be my favorite. En Estados Unidos existe un restaurante se llama Charles Jr. o Carl's Jr. y Hardee's que vendía este pan con este jamón, con salchicha americano, con huevo, con queso, que fue mi favorito cuando yo vivía allá. The other thing you can put is jelly, which is the preference for most breakfasts. Puedes comerlo con jelly o mermelada. Puede ser de fresa, puede ser arándano, puede ser cualquiera que deseas. Esa es la preferencia para los desayunos. Y también huevo revuelto o huevo frito. Or you can eat it with fried eggs or scrambled eggs. And I'm going to show you how to make my scrambled eggs. This is technically my little brother Steven's recipe. He showed me how to do it a long time ago. And I stick to it because it's probably the best, fluffiest scrambled eggs that I know of. Entonces, esa es realmente la receta de mi hermanito, que me enseñó hace muchos años atrás, cómo ella prepara, y tiene uno de los mejores huevos revueltos que yo he comido. Y solo vas a necesitar huevos, un poco de leche y mantequilla, para cocinarlo, y es en fuego bajo. No demora mucho, y si quieres aumentar algunos sabores como por ejemplo, polvo de ajo o pimienta, algo así se puede. And if you want to add other stuff to it, it's very simple. It's just eggs, milk, butter. And if you want to add flavorings like powdered garlic or pepper or anything like that, you can, and it just adds to the flavor. I've actually had a friend who recently told me, maybe it was my brother James who told me that he uses dill on a lot of his stuff, and he told me like it's absolutely amazing. I haven't tried it yet, and so I can't confirm it. Estuve diciendo que mi hermano James, que es el mayor de los varones, me había hablado de que él aumenta dill en sus cosas y sabe más rico. Y todavía no he probado, entonces no puedo recomendarlo. Yo confío en él, pero no puedo recomendar. Los panes ya están listos. The breads are about ready. The oven just beeped, and I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. But we're going to go ahead and crack about 5 eggs. Vamos a poner 5 huevos en esta taza. We're just going to hit it on the edge, snap right between where the crack is. Vamos a golpearlo en la esquina y jalar justo donde está el hueco. Ahí tenemos los 5 huevos. We have our 5 eggs. We have an extra egg, which is going to save this. I'm going to show you how to quickly fry an egg the perfect way. Vamos a poner un poco de sal, solo un poco nomás. Just put a little bit of salt and a little bit of milk, about a tablespoon of milk. Una chorreta de leche, about. Y ahí mezclamos. Mientras, podemos poner un poco de aceite vegetal y mantequilla en el sartén. And at which point, after we're done mixing this, we can put a little bit of salt. I mean, not salt, vegetable oil, and a little bit of butter in our skillet. and put it on medium heat. I'm gonna go do that. And after I bring you the biscuit so you can see what that looks like. Ya ahí están los panes. And there we go. Got our biscuits. We're gonna readjust the camera in a second so you can see the stove. But yeah, to make the scrambled eggs is very simple. So all right. So we're gonna do the eggs. Our skillet is hot already. We're just gonna put a little bit of olive oil. I mean olive oil, vegetable oil. I keep on saying olive oil in my videos too. A little bit of vegetable oil and a little bit of butter. I'm just gonna let that melt and coat the sides and the bottom. At which point we can go ahead and start putting our eggs in. So once you see that bubbling on the side, you're just gonna snap behind it, fold it under, and do the same thing on the opposite side. Cuando lo ves que las burbujas están en el borde, vamos a jalar desde ese punto hacia el medio y girar sacando de todo el borde. Just gonna keep taking off from the edges and keep folding it in. Todo el líquido por el otro lado. We're just gonna bring all the liquid to the other end. Fold. And before you know it, you're done. Let's see. Envolvimos así los huevos y de pronto ya va a estar todo listo. Ahí está, ya está. Y si se nota, no está todo cocinado porque al final el huevo sigue caliente. Todo que está un poco mojado se va a cocinar solito cuando ya está afuera de ese sartén. And so you just want to leave a little bit liquidy, just a little bit, because the eggs are still hot and they're going to continue to cook it once it's off the skillet. And there you go. The perfect scrambled eggs. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and use the same skillet now, and I'm gonna show you how to make a perfect fried egg. And all you're gonna do is you're gonna let it get heated up really well. I'm gonna turn it up to medium. I'm gonna put a little bit of oil, just enough. That's the size of an egg. Get around all the edges. And you're gonna need a spatula. And the same thing, we're just gonna crack it. Gonna crack the egg, and then we're gonna set it in. So we're gonna turn it back down. Lightly drop it in. Add a little bit of salt. And once you see it's bubbling, you have your first two big bubbles. Want to pop one, push over the white to that area. Cuando lo ves las burbujas, vamos a romper uno, jalar lo que está ahí, la clara encima. Y a este punto, que ya se ve, está crocante al borde, vamos a apagarlo, porque ya está listo. La única cosa es a taparlo. And at this point, all you're doing is just you're gonna cover it with a lid. And because the skillet's hot, the egg is hot, the oil is hot, is that steam is gonna go ahead and cook the top of it. Not cook the yema, not cook the yolk, but it's gonna cook the rest of the white, the clara, and you'll be good with your egg. And this only takes like a minute. So entonces tapamos, dejamos que el calor de aceite, del huevo, de este sartén, va cocinando de parte de encima y ya en menos de un minuto, 2 minutos máximo, el huevo ya está perfecto, o sea, la inglesa. Entonces, podemos ahora, ya ha pasado cuántos, 15, de repente 30 segundos, y ya lo tienes, un huevo perfecto, no tienes que hacer nada más. Y los que van a comerlo van a pensar, wow, ¿dónde has estudiado? Um, that's all you have to do. People who's going to eat it and be like, wow, where did you learn how to make this? Y tú vas a decir, Cooper me enseñó. And you're going to tell them, Jonathan taught you. And after you tell them that Jonathan taught you, you're going to go back and you're going to say, and who taught Jonathan? And I'm going to go ahead and move this camera back. You can get it in the facial. Give me a facial. You got it? You're going to ask who taught Jonathan how to make this perfectly fried egg. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is my secret. And I always tell people this, but they don't believe me. I learned a lot about life through video games. There is a moment in, I want to say, Metal Gear Solid, Sons of Liberty, where there's this whole storyline and there's all this background information. And there's this moment where Snake teaches you how to make a perfectly fried egg. I watched that. I played that game probably when I was 16 years old and it stuck with me. I tried it, it worked perfectly. 30 years later, almost 30 years later, I'm still making that same recipe from that one video game. Entonces, cuando alguien te pregunta quién te enseñó, tú vas a decir Cooper. ¿Y quién enseñó Cooper? Snake de Metal Gear Solid, ese videojuego en el PlayStation. Hay un momento en el tercer juego donde Snake explica cómo hacer un huevo perfecto. Y esa es la receta que estoy usando, que he usado por casi 30 años. Y realmente no tiene igual. Entonces, están, ya tienen todo un preparación para el desayuno. You guys have my whole preparation for breakfast. Ahora me toca disfrutarlo con mi familia y espero que ustedes también. So now you can go ahead and enjoy the same meal with your family, just like I'm going to right now. Got some hot water boiling, got some coffee in the background, and I hope you guys have a great week. Peace out. Espero que tengan una buena fin de semana o semana. Chao.